Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Comrade Ngabuto Nicholas Mapen. I'm the General Secretary of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. We have been discussing the challenges faced by workers in the teaching profession. I'm with my comrade here, Comrade Obed Masaraure, who is president of the Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, ATUS. Unfortunately, the network in Zimbabwe is poor, so it cannot be on a video. We want to understand what is happening in Zimbabwe. There's a strike about the teachers. Our international friends have been asking what is happening. So we thought it is important that Comrade Obed gives us an update on what is happening in Zimbabwe. Comrade President, welcome. If you were to introduce yourself, Comrade.
Thank you so much, Comrade GS. So like the GS said, I'm Obed Masaraure, the National President of Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe. At ATUS, we fight for proper education and labor justice within the teaching fraternity. Thanks, Comrade.
Right, let's get to this strike that is happening. Let's start with the caravan march that happened in 2019, and also if you were to take us through the agreement that you had with government, which then reneged on, so that our comrades can understand the basis of this demonstration by teachers.
Thank you so much. So you recall that the government introduced the Transitional Stabilization Program around 2018. And part of that package were austerity measures, which meant cutting on expenditure on public services, including on education. Changes. This is when teacher salaries were slashed. A teacher ordinarily earned USD 540 before October 2018. But those salaries were reduced to as low as USD $90 through current reforms. So initially, the government had entered into a collective bargaining agreement with teachers, with the workers' side, agreeing that each individual teacher would earn USD 540. Mm-hmm. But the slashing was unilateral, it was arbitrary, it was done outside the confines of the law, it was never negotiated. So we have been engaged in a battle with the government, including working from Tare to Harare, what we call the Caravan March, trying to raise this same issue where we were urging the government to restore the value of our salaries, to dump the austerity measures which are hitting the poor, which are hitting our social services. But the government has not taken heed. We have engaged in countless protests. We've been arrested, we've been abducted, we've been tortured because we were trying to convince government to restore our pre-October 2018 salaries, but the government failed. So for 5 years, teachers were losing an average of $400 per month. And to date, teachers are owed almost $24,000 each by our government. This is money that was stolen from us. And the USD to 24,000 that is accumulated over the years doesn't include the interest. If we would add interest, it would be more. But we are not even demanding the 24,000. We have forgiven government for that debt. And we are saying, beginning January 2022, we simply want the restoration of the pre-October 2018 salaries, which is just USD 540 per month.
So in other words, Comrade President, you are saying you have cancelled the debt of $24,000 per person.
Yes, the individual teachers are patriots, so they say they don't want to burden their government. So the government doesn't have to pay the USD 24,000. They only have to start paying from January 2020.
Yes. What is then the latest update? Because schools opened after postponements. Like I said earlier on, that we have been discussing the demonstration that when schools opened, teachers did not report to their workstations. Maybe if you can take us through that process so that our international comrades can have a better understanding of what really happened.
So today is day 9 of the job action. Obviously, we include the weekend days, Saturday and Sunday, because teachers work during weekends planning for lessons. So from the 17th, which was on Monday last week, 7th of February, teachers have not been reporting for duty. On the opening day, 96% did not report for duty in primary schools. 98% did not report for duty in secondary schools. But as the days progressed, with the threats being issued, with other unions selling out, we now have statistics of 90% of our teachers not reporting for duty. Only 10% are in schools. So the 10% are administrators, the school head, the deputy head, and other administrative staff. But the teachers who are the classroom practitioners are not in schools. So there's no learning and teaching taking place in our schools. We understand government has issued the threats. They have claimed that they've suspended all the teachers who are not reporting for duty. That is a number between 133,000 to 140,000, 135 to 140,000. So they claim they've suspended all those teachers. But the officials announced the statement. There's no local standard to pronounce such words. They have no powers to suspend teachers, because teachers are employed by the Public Service Commission. And also, secondly, there is no provision for such blanket suspension of the workforce in the laws of the country, particularly when they're trying to use Section 48 of the Public Service Regulations. They don't provide for such blanket suspensions. But thirdly, also the move is unconstitutional, given that Section 65, subsection 3 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe provides for the right to engage in job actions, collective actions. So at the moment, we treat such utterances of suspensions as a legal nullity, and we have completely disregarded them. They are a big joke. We also understand that the government says they've given us an increment of 20%. Mm-hmm. Again, we dismiss that. That is not an increment, because look, the government slashed our salaries from $540 to $90. Then they say they give you 20% increment. That would take you to 110, 120, given with the grade. So they are trying to restore the value of our salaries in installments, and they want to claim that it's an increment. We treat that as con artistry, and we don't respect that, and we dismiss it. It is not an increment. Increment will only begin when we have 540. They can increase from 540 upwards. But as things stand, 20% of a slashed salary is not an increment, and we reject it. We also understand that a whole cocktail of promises have been made by government on non-monetary incentives. We have heard these lies for a very long time, and we don't take them seriously. And we are not ready to entertain the non-monetary incentives for now. We'll focus them at a time when we have received our USD 540 monthly. Then we can discuss other non-monetary incentives that can be pushed ahead. So as things stand, our schools are deserted. No learning and teaching is taking place in our schools. The teachers remain at home. We remain incapacitated. Threats continue to pile in. We are also going to court tomorrow challenging the purported suspension of all teachers by this government minister. The High Court of Zimbabwe is announced that tomorrow at 10:00 hours Central African time, it's set down. So we are hoping that justice will prevail, and the court will dismiss such utterances from the minister and declare that the suspensions are illegal nullity.
Comrade President, what's the attitude of parents? Because we have 133,000 teachers that are on suspension, and you are saying that there's no teaching that is happening, and we know that the children of the elite are going into private schools. But what is the attitude of the parents? Do they understand the action that the teachers they've taken?
Well, thank you so much for that. So over the years, we have invested in creating parents-teacher associations where the parents and teachers come together and dialogue around the solutions to the education crisis. We initiated a campaign which we call the Save Our Education campaign, which was running, I think, since 2018 to date. It has been running from the days that our salaries were slashed. So there is consensus within the teacher community and the parent community that the restoration of pre-October 2018 salaries is part of the solution to the education crisis. The parents are agreed that teachers are also parents in their own right. They also have children that have to be sent to school. Parents are agreed that teachers can only deliver in the classroom if they are well paid. So we now have a movement which we call the Save Our Education movement, which involves both the parents and the teachers. And we are working in unison to try and bring sanity in the education sector. We all love to be in the classroom. Our own children also want to be in the classroom. They are not learning. It's not like ours are getting favors elsewhere. We are all losing out, but it is because of government attitude. And we've done enough to educate our communities to fully appreciate that the mandate to provide education lies squarely on the shoulders of the government of the day, as is provided in Section 75 of the Constitution of the Republic, where the state is mandated to provide basic education, and the educator is just an agent who is deployed to do the same. And now the agent is going back to the sender, to the state, and say, we don't have the tools of trade. We don't have resources to be in the classroom. We can't clothe ourselves. We can't feed ourselves. We can't pay rentals. We can't afford transport. So we can't teach. So the boys in the court of the state, which is mandated to provide education, and we expect the parents to help us to push the state to fund basic education.
There was at some point parents when they agreed that they were going to provide some incentive to teachers, collect monies and give to teachers as to ensure that teaching continues. Where are we with that arrangement?
That arrangement really is highly discriminatory. It entrenches inequality, because those who cannot afford to pay incentives for teachers are excluded from learning. Our education ceases to be inclusive. So as things stand, as a union, our position is clear that no parent should shoulder the responsibility of paying teachers. That should remain an exclusive responsibility of the government of the day, so that we equalize learning opportunities, so that we do not malign other learners, marginalize other learners, or exclude other learners who come from poor backgrounds. But what we understand at the moment is that some parents are going behind our backs, and they're engaging privately. They're engaging privately with some teachers and some parents, and they are paying without our knowledge. They're paying teachers without our knowledge. They're paying teachers without government knowledge. And yeah, what that means is we have a couple of schools where some teachers who are getting money from parents are teaching, and they're only get paid, which is unacceptable. We want education to be accessible by all, and we urge parents to stop such engaging such a conduct, because that conduct really affects our education. Then we also understand that we have some teachers who are getting parents to pay to provide private lessons at home, private coaching at home. So it's going on. It's good business for the teachers, but the parents now carry the burden. So imagine Zimbabwe with over 7.9 million of our people living in extreme poverty. How many of them can afford to pay private tutors? At the end of the day, really, it's self-defeating to be trying to engage in such practices. It harms our public education sector more.
Our comrades will also want to understand what is the position of the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions on this strike. Is it participating? What is the situation?
The Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions has issued a solidarity statement where they say they are in support of the teacher strike. They issued another solidarity statement where they were calling on the Zimbabwean government to reverse the suspension of teachers. We have asked the Congress to call for a general strike. Why? Because the call from teachers is a call that is shared by all the workers of Zimbabwe. All the workers in Zimbabwe were robbed in 2018. They were robbed of their USD salaries through current reforms. So it is not a problem which is confined to the teachers community. So at this particular point, we would expect the Congress to be engaged, to be calling for a general strike, so that the working class can deliver the final blow at a time when the balance of forces are in favor of the working class. Because if they don't do it now, the balance of forces can shift any time, and then it will be too late. We would have missed a historic opportunity to restore the dignity of the workers. As things stand right now, workers in Zimbabwe are earning slave wages, and would have expected the Congress of Trade Unions to seize this opportunity and organize all the workers to come out and fight for the restoration of their pre-October 2018 salaries.
I know, Comrade President, that you have been talking to Nehau in South Africa. You are talking to also the teachers' unions in Swaziland. What message to other international trade unions does ATUS have?
So at ATUS, we thank the international community for standing shoulder to shoulder with the workers of Zimbabwe when the times when we were arrested, recently we were arrested protesting. We acknowledge the massive solidarity we received internationally. We invite the international trade union movement to continue giving us solidarity during these times. We have a very repressive state, a state which treats every problem as a nail which needs a hammer. So they don't believe in dialogue. So if we remain isolated in this small state called Zimbabwe without international support, the state can be as barbaric as possible. But if they realize that the Zimbabwean situation is known out there, it helps them to keep them in check. It forces them to respect labor laws. It forces them to respect international best practices. And we invite comrades across the world to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Zimbabwe, shoulder to shoulder with the Zimbabwean workers, help us fight for a better working and living conditions for the teachers and the broader working class in Zimbabwe. But we understand the crisis of exploitation of the workers is not really limited to Zimbabwe, and we remain ready to also cooperate with the broader working class across the globe as we seek to collectively fight against the capitalism, which is the major source of this crisis. Was at the end of the day, we are discussing a crisis which emanates from a whole package of neoliberalism policies, a package of austerity measures, which then brings, which then manifests as this crisis which we are tackling at this moment.
No, thanks, Comrade President. That was Comrade Obed Masaraure, the president of Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe. We are calling on all our international friends to give practical solidarity to teachers in Zimbabwe and all the workers that are suffering in Zimbabwe. There is a court action tomorrow morning in Harare at the High Court where the unions are seeking to reverse the suspension of teachers. Over 133,000 teachers have been suspended out of 140,000. Then the Congress of Trade, Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions is being lobbied by ATUS to call for a general strike in solidarity with the workers in the teaching profession. We will, as communists on our part, do what we did in 2016 in mobilizing, collectively working together with ATUS and the other unions in Zimbabwe to call for International Solidarity Day. So we'll continue to share once ZCTU has announced the date, and then it declared that as International Solidarity Day for the workers in Zimbabwe. And of course, other workers that are oppressed across the globe. Otherwise, thank you so much, Comrade President, and thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks, Jess, for waiting us. Goodbye.